Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Vol Society Live on this Tuesday night. My name is David Morrison from the Vol Society, here to welcome you once and again to Vol Society Live. This is your show. This is your chance to be heard. You're watching us all across our social media platforms, facebook.com/UT Vol Society, youtube.com/Vol Society, and on X or Twitter at Society Vol. The chat room is open. You can leave your comments, your questions. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Tennessee coming off that loss to the Florida Gators. We'll talk about that game. We will also talk about the upcoming UTSA game that's coming up Saturday at 4 o'clock on the SEC network. I'll go ahead and get all my stats up here. By the way, while you're on here, as we're starting to uh, get our crowd on here. Our founder Brad's already in the chat room. Said tough game Saturday, but still a vol. Yeah, I think there's a wave of emotions for this game. By the way, while you're here, as we're about to get ready to dive in here, we're still getting some viewers in. I am wearing some of our Vol Society merchandise. I know it's still very warm to wear a hoodie, although not in the mornings. The mornings have been very, very fantastic. But there's our Vol Society hoodie. If you're on the Facebook page, as soon as we're done, go to the Shop Now button on the Facebook page. We got hats, we got hoodies. I've got I got the water bottle. I borrowed it from Mom to show for tonight. So, like I said, we have those cool stuff out there. Friday night football games. School's already in session. The holidays are coming up. So, like I said, good way to support Vol Society. All right, so let's go ahead and just talk about Saturday's game. And like I said, please leave your comments, your questions. Tell us where you're watching us from tonight as we get rolling here. All right. So Tennessee coming off the loss 29-16 on Saturday. Disappointing game. Just an angry game for Vol fans, an angry game for Josh Heupel. It seemed like he took this game very personally, just listening to the press conference, and that's something you really are intrigued to hearing from your head coach after a game like that. But yeah, let's just go ahead and kind of just dive into what happened. I'm going ahead pulling up all the stats here. Yeah, Brad says outcoached and outplayed. But basically what happened. Uh, Miss K says I'm here, but I'm not saying one thing about last Saturday's game. It's best I don't say one word. That's all right. I'll kind of go ahead and say what we saw, but just a total domination. Especially in the second quarter. Tennessee just dug themselves in that big hole in the first half, and yeah, they put up a valiant effort. But just like Brad said, just got outcoached, outplayed, and hey, big win for Billy Napier and the Gators. But just kind of looking at the individual stats here, Josh saying, "Go Vols from Western Oregon." Wow, thank you for tuning in. It's in the afternoon over there while it's evening here on the West Coast. But thank you for tuning in, Josh, watching us on our Facebook page. Uh, anyway, so Joe Milton on the night, 20 for 34, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR 52.6. That is not good. It's not good, and that's kind of been consistent throughout the season. Our running backs go Jalen Wright, 16 carries, 63 yards, average 3 yards a carry. Jabari Small, 7 carries, 35 yards. Brad's wondering where everybody's watching us from tonight, so you want to leave that, that's fine. Joe Milton, 5 carries, 6 yards. Some of those were sacks. And then Brew McCoy had 1 carry for 2 yards, but I barely remember that. But anyways, our running backs went over 100 yards. And the biggest person missing out of that group is Dylan Sampson. Where was Dylan Sampson at? That's kind of the $64,000 question. Josh Heupel, just kind of said it just the way the game went, just really didn't need him. And then unfortunately, in the day's world of social media, Dylan Sampson posted something about a cheetah in a cage, and that got people speculating and rumor innuendo going on, and you're hearing, oh, he's going to transfer and blah 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 blah, and just you just kind of had to take everything from a grain of salt. Held to my grandparents watching tonight in South Carolina as they are visiting my aunt and uncle down there. So I hope they're enjoying their trip down there. Um, Brett says, I find it odd he didn't play. It made no sense to me. Yeah. Um, it just, it was just very odd. I mean, and, like I said, and I just don't get what was going on there. I mean, we didn't hear of any injury or, uh, there was really no discipline action. It was just very odd. I mean, like I said, Heupel runs that three running back rotation with Wright Small and Dylan Sampson, and just him being missing in action on Saturday was just very odd. Hopefully he will play on Saturday against UTSA, and maybe he'll get a bulk of the snaps, bulk of the carries, and maybe all forgiven. Colt watching us tonight says, when the ref kicked the ball and they stopped plays, should Florida had been able to sub since Tennessee did not? No, they shouldn't have. Colt. I mean, that was just obviously when you're in the moment, live action, you're seeing, oh, well, the referee moved the ball. That means, yeah, Florida shouldn't. But no, I mean, it was just the referee just not aware of his surroundings and just kicked it. And, Tennessee was ready to go. And Brad said it was a huge key moment, too. And with the referees, there were some, bad calls all the way around. What you mentioned, Cole, about the ref kicking the ball, and then the blindside block from McAllen Castles. That was just an awful call there. But it did ruin Tennessee's chance to really did come back. But really, we hurt ourselves a lot with those penalties, and kind of looking at the team stats. Um, Tennessee had 10 penalties for 79 yards, and Florida had 5 for 30. You could probably subtract about 3 of those penalties, but still, like I said, pre-snap penalties really hurt us. And Brad just said even my Florida fans admitted some of those calls were awful. Definitely so. But like I said, pre-snap penalties, especially on the road, and you look at and I hate calling out Ollie Elaine, and because like I said, he's kind of been right through the coals this week trying to replace Cooper Mays, but he was the guilty person on a lot of those pre-snap penalties, and you know, real missing Cooper Mays is really hurt this Tennessee offense as far as getting the tempo going. Who knows when he's? I don't know if he's coming back against UTSA. Hopefully he is. I think that will really get it going. Uh, so we'll see. Our Florida fan Octavian says, "How do you like them Gators now?" Hey, you got the win, Octavian. You should be happy. Um, give us. It is what it is. Brad says we need leadership on the field, and that's the other thing. It's we talked about this a little bit on the podcast, and I mentioned this in passing too. Uh, yeah, I mean, you're missing some big key leaderships from last year's team: Hendon Hooker, Jalen Wright, Jerome Carvin, Darnell Wright, especially on that offensive side. And it just seems like we don't really have that this year, or it just never really transition over from last year to this year. It's just very very odd, and we could talk about Joel Milton, and some of it just feels like whether it's Milton or whoever, it just feels like there's a lot of guys, especially on that offensive side, that just don't have that dogman mentality of, hey, let's go out there and win it. Let's yeah, we're down, we're behind the 8 ball here, but let's go out there and let's try to make something out of it. And even, a couple of years ago when Hendon Hooker really took over, Tennessee was hanging in there. Alabama a couple of years ago, Tennessee was still hanging in there. And then it really elevated, the next year in 2022. And it's just we're missing that this year. Jason watching us tonight says, I'm rewatching the game again right now, and besides the god awful defense sub game plan and the lack of tackling and effort, the penalties and the referees were horrendous. But one of the biggest issue is play calling. And then he also commented, Joe Milton has to run on broken plays or if people are covered. Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Jason. Going back to some of the play calling, and I guess the other thing that I'm disappointed in is we didn't really pressure Graham Mertz a lot. You saw what happened with, in week 1 with Utah. Uh yeah, really attack Graham Mertz and was going after him and made him just not a just completely took him out of the game, completely took the running game out, and we just was very conservative against Florida, and I just did not get that. And I don't want to say Tim Banks is awful, Willie Martinez is awful. I'm just saying it was just very very eye opening, and we saw a lot of kinks in the armor of not only with that defensive side, but a little bit with Josh Heupel too. And then yeah, and just Milton has to run on broken plays or people cover. Yeah, it's, I think Joe Milton has all the tools and the trades to be a really good quarterback. It's just he doesn't know how to use them, and he's just kind of what he is. Uh, but anyways, disappointing game. Uh, kind of looking at some of the rest of the stats. Brew McCoy did have a decent game, 5 catches, 94 yards, got that long touchdown for 55 yards. Squirrel White, 3 catches, 68 yards. Uh, uh, he had a long catch from 41. Dante Thornton Jr. finally kind of stepped up a little bit, 3 catches, 53 yards, but that all came in the second half. And if you want to look at a silver lining from the game on Saturday, Tennessee somewhat played better in the second half. Uh, you know, eh, you look at kind of Florida's numbers. Like Graham Mertz ended up finishing with like 166 yards passing, but he accumulated a lot in that first half. But Tennessee was stopping them, getting off the field, and then driving down the field. But like I said, we just dug ourselves in that big hole in the first half, and just just really bad. Jason says on the second drive of the game, it's 3rd and 9, and we run a wide receiver screen. The probability of 9 yards on that is small. Yeah, and Jason, this is 2 weeks in a row that we had to really water down the playbook for Joe Milton. We saw it in the Austin P game. I think Tennessee kind of wanted to open the playbook up, but it was just a combination of you know Milton overthrowing them, throwing a hot pass low, or wide receivers just not catching. So, like I said, something is missing. It's not clicking that offense, and then we watered down the playbook pretty much for Joe to just get some sort of confidence going and really get the offense going in general against Austin P. And the same thing the next week. You know, like I said, we played a little bit better in the second half, but unfortunately, it's just kind of a little too late. And Brad says, bottom line, fix the issues and fix them quick, and we're in trouble. Yeah. And I guess we'll kind of go ahead and transition over to UTSA a little bit. Um, this is a pretty good UTSA team. I mean, we mentioned this on the podcast, and you'll hear it Thursday on Tailgate Thursday. I just got done recording it before I went on the air. Uh, yeah, this is a UTSA team that had a lot of optimism coming into the season. They made a transition from Conference USA to the American Conference with all the conference realignment, and they were a heavy favorite to win the American right behind Tulane. They had pretty much their entire offense coming back. Frank Harris came back for his 6th year, all-time leading passer, and then he ended up getting hurt in the season. He didn't play last Friday against Army, and according to David Dees, he's kind of day-to-day, so he may play on Saturday. Uh, it's just you know, this is a big game for UTSA too to kind of at least play a spoiler into Tennessee's uh, kind of disappointing season up to this point. Just like I said, like Brad said, we got to fix the issues and fix them quick. Chad says hashtag really bad look in K Town. Um, it kind of is, but hopefully we can get it fixed very quick. And like I said, we got a lot of football to play, but there's some big games coming up after UTSA. South Carolina is the week after. It's been announced as a 7:30 kickoff on the 30th on the SEC Network. Then you have the bye week after that, and then Texas A&M comes to Knoxville after that. So you got 3 home games coming up to kind of salvage something, and then you go to Alabama. And I kind of mentioned this optimistically. The SEC is down in general. So, for Tennessee, yeah, we're 2-1 right now. We're falling in the top 25, 2 bad weeks in a row. But, you know, Tennessee could easily flip the switch on and like play Tennessee football as they did last year. So I mean, we'll see what happens. Greg says after listening to some shows on Sports Animals and others, they are all saying more an offensive line problem. Yeah, missing Cooper Mays is a big part of it. He's that leader on the offensive side. Uh, once we get him once he comes back, I think we really see the tempo really getting cranked up and getting guys lined up and ready to snap the ball. Chad says, really not seeing a 500 tier year with this product that's on the field, offense and defense. I think we're better than I think we can still manage an 8-win season out of it. Like I said, it's just I guess like I said, it's a good and a bad thing. With the SEC being down, Tennessee can end up surprising somebody one week, but then again, we could see what we saw last Saturday. So it's just a lot of question marks, not only at Tennessee, but a lot of programs in general. So we'll see. Brad says this team will play us tough. Don't think they won't. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a very talented team, and we'll see how our secondary does. And I remember even back in the preseason when everybody was healthy and optimism was high, I'm thinking, I wasn't expecting Florida to kind of torch our defense. I was thinking we might go down there and pull a win out, but I'm thinking, as far as is our secondary legit, and this was the game I kind of had circled like our first real big test of is the secondary finally figured it out, and right now it's no. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Brad says just can't understand where's all this arm tackling is coming from. Awful, yeah, yeah. I mean that's it. Um, and like I said, we got to play better. And yes, 8 wins. Yeah, and I agree with you, Brad, on the arm tackling. It's just ridiculous, and it's really been going on, with some of the previous coaches. I just don't get what kind of the deal is as far as tackling the secondary goes. It seemed like last year we kind of figured it out with some of our safeties with McCullough and McDonald, although at times they did get burned too. And yeah, it was just awful. Jason mentioned our secondary looked worse Saturday than last year. I agree. And the frustrating part is you supposed to have these veterans back there like Kamal Haddon and Brandon Turnage and McCullough, and these guys have played a lot of football, but they're still making just rookie mistakes. Warren Burrell, and like I said, I hate calling out guys like this, but you have like a group of freshmen, young hungry guys, a Christian Harrison, a Christian Conyer, a Ricky Gibson. What's going what makes what's going on that they're not rising to the occasion and challenge some of these veterans? Are they that bad, or is maybe Willie Martinez or Josh Heupel just comfortable with these guys? Danico Slaughter kind of another guy, which he didn't really play much Saturday either. So it's just, you know, I want to see some of these freshmen really rise up and challenge some of these guys. It's just, I don't think going to work out as starting secondary, especially at Tennessee. Um, let's see here. Oh, I'm going to read this first. Greg, hey guys, LSU lost one early last year and still went to the SEC championship game. That is true. They had the loss to Florida State, and I remember at that time the fan base was ready to get rid of Brian Kelly after one game, which is really crazy in its own right. But that's true. Like I said, anything can happen, and especially this year with all these teams kind of be down. He also says there's a common problem with the defensive backfield, and it's an old familiar face. Yeah, um, pretty much. I, you know, I think I've said enough about that secondary. Brad says, I truly think we were spoiled last year with Hooker, Hyatt, Tillman. Those guys were just unreal. Yeah, that's true. And could you say we may have peaked a year early? Usually takes about 3 years to really get a program going, but I guess now with look at what college football is, you can turn that around in a game or 2 games. But it's we are definitely missing them, and I do like the team we got. I do like our running backs. They're the same running backs from last year. Most of our offensive lines kind of the same except for Carvin and Wright. Uh, and then the wide receivers, I do like Brew. I love Squirrel. And and especially looking back at that Orange Bowl game, because you didn't have Tillman playing, didn't have Hyatt playing, so you kind of had that preview of what you thought this season was going to be. It's like, okay, you got Joe Milton, you got Squirrel White, you got uh, Brew McCoy, Jacob Warren, and it's just like, man, we went out and dominated Clemson. The 2023 is going to be the year, and it's just not it. Now, Clemson still hasn't recovered really from that Orange Bowl loss themselves. And they got a big game coming up against Florida State. I'm just saying, Brad saying, I'm just saying Hooker was an unreal playmaker, just unreal. Yes, unreal playmaker and an unreal leader. And I think, very similar to when we had Josh Dobbs, just a guy that, well, actually, Hooker put up better numbers, in my opinion, than Dobbs did, but just a playmaker and a guy that was a leader and wanted to win. And he would go through heck and high water to get a win. And Hooker's the same way Dobbs was before. I just don't think he doesn't have that mentality. It's just not who he is. But you know, and I hate to keep bringing up. Yeah, Brad said Dobb played for a failure coach too. Yeah, definitely. Josh Dobbs pretty much saved Coach Lyle's job there for an extra year. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Hey, at least he's starting for the Arizona Cardinals. Uh, yeah, it's just I hate to keep bringing up like last year's teams and say, well, last year's team to this year's team, because last year's in the past, but you definitely notice kind of those playmakers, and yeah, we've probably drunk too much orange Kool-Aid in the off season after that Orange Bowl win, just thinking, yeah, this is going to be the year. But hey, it is what it is. Let me go ahead and give some shout outs on the Facebook page. Shout out to Joey, Chad, Justin, and Drew, and Nick, who just left us a reaction on the Facebook page. Thank you guys for doing that. Going back to the comments, Greg says Coach Heupel says the players are really hurting with this loss, and I kind of hope so too. This was just a I mean, it's a disappointing loss. I mean, I couldn't, and I hope, like, and Brad just now said, good. They should be hurt, and hope that wakes them up. I do too. I think this team is way too talented to just be mediocre this year. I really don't. I really don't want to see this team go 6-6 or 7-5. Um, and I really hope somebody steps up, and the next time we're in a close game like that they can kind of revert to last year, be like, you know what, hey, we're down, but we're not out of it. Let's go out there and get the win, and somebody step up leadership wise. Maybe get Cooper Mays back. Maybe somebody on the defense. I think Aaron Beasley has played his tail off. I think Aaron Beasley's a leader on the defense. Um, I kind of wish we had some more Aaron Beasleys and some more Cooper Mays, and even a Brew McCoy. I don't want to ridicule Brew either. I think he can be a leader too. Just got to get somebody that be like, guys, this is enough, and enough's enough. We can't be doing like this. And you know, I want to see, like I said, obviously we want to see this team succeed, and especially in a down SEC year. Yeah, Georgia's still at the top, probably going to win the whole thing, but talent wise, coaching wise, scheme wise, X's and O's, all that Tennessee should be right in the thick of things. It's just we can't keep doing stupid stuff. We can't be arm tackling in the secondary. We can't be playing too conservative with teams and uh, 3 snap penalties. And yeah, I know we were playing on the road, and we're coming home. But the last 2 years, we have been the most penalized team in the SEC, and we got to quit doing that. Joey says, I agree with you. Thank you, Joey, watching us tonight. Greg says Joe needs to be a Josh Dobbs, and we will be just fine. So he just needs to run a few times. They may have to make him run, and that's a good point there, Greg. I mean, you look at Joe Milton; he is a big guy. I mean, what 6'5", 6'6", 240 pounds. I mean, he's kind of a Cam Newton clone. Although right now he's kind of playing like Cam Newton the last few years in the NFL, but beside the point. But like I said, Joe needs to kind of know what he's got. We all know he's got the arm strength. Uh, we all know that He's a big guy. Like I said, just utilize his strengths without overthinking it. And maybe, and you don't want to completely change the entire playbook for him too. Uh, but I think something like, just a, I don't know how to describe it. I guess just, I don't want to say simplify every time for Joe, but I think Joe just needs to find out what his strengths are, and just build confidence and be consistent. Consistency is what's really hurt Joe Milton. We saw him lose the job in 2021, his consistency, and then it seemed like, when he came in for Hendon Hooker, he was fine. He played great in the Vanderbilt game, the Clemson game, and now just kind of reverted back. Even in the orange and white game, he didn't look all that hot too. Brad says, I truly think he just doesn't have the awareness and quick decision making skills. And that could be true. I mean, that could be true too. So, matter of fact, I actually I agree with Brad on that. I think Joe's just Joe. And, shout out to my dad who just left us a like on the Facebook page. Uh, just you look at what's behind him. Everybody's talking about we want Nico, and yes, I would love to see Nico play. We only got to saw him play like one series in the Virginia game. We didn't get to see him in Austin P. Didn't see him in Florida, which you kind of not expecting to see him against Florida. Now you got UTSA. This is pretty much kind of the last opportunity to get Nico on the field and get a lot of snaps. But Tennessee doesn't need to fiddle fart around and let UTSA hang in there, kind of like Austin P did. Or you're definitely not going to see Nico to come on. Um, it's going to be. Brad says not to pick on him, but it is what it is. There's a reason he's been a backup, and that could be true. But what is Nico going to bring? And even if you bring Nico on, I mean, maybe he can be a miracle worker, but you're still gonna deal with kind of the same things Joe is a little bit. Now, I think Nico's probably going to be a little more finesse with his passes, but his going to be that decision making, especially going into SEC play. You're not facing 12 Virginias every week. You're facing some elite college football teams, even in the SEC in a down year. Yeah, you're still taking on some really tough teams. And I guess the good news is the next three games are at home. You do have a bye week on the 7th, right before the Aggies come into town on the 14th. So these next 3 weeks are going to be very crucial to make a quick fix, and it really needs to start Saturday. I think Tennessee needs to go out there, take care of business, and run the road runners out of Neyland Stadium early on, and kind of get these young guys in there. But I'm for my score predictions. And by the way, while we're at it, we got quite a few people in here. Go ahead and leave your score predictions on the game coming up. But my score prediction, I said on the podcast, 38-24 Tennessee. So I guess 14 points, kind of balancing the averages out, adding a few points here and there. I think Tennessee can rebound somewhat nicely, but I can see it, at times still be a struggle. I can see the fans getting frustrated uh, with some of the performances, but I think if Tennessee just kind of goes back to the basics, take care of the little things, I would love to see us open the playbook up, but Joe's just got to be consistent. He's going to have to really rebound. I'll use a comparison with my Titans. Ryan Tannehill played like trash in week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. This past Sunday against the Chargers, he had a trash first quarter, but then he flipped the switch, and then he went back to what made Ryan Tannehill good, and using play action. Of course, also having Derrick Henry too. But, just being consistent, and, end up getting an overtime win against the Chargers. So love to see that from Joe Milton, just kind of just go back to his basics. We all know what he's got, but not only just Joe Milton, but the team in general. Go back to basics, take care of the little things, tackle nicely, don't do stupid penalties, and we'll be okay. Greg says there has been talk about it as well, but he is a big guy, basically a pocket passer, and he's not getting time to make all his reads. Yeah, and you're right there, Greg. Just yeah, it is what it is. Kevin Huckabee, watching us tonight, one of our favorites, says, "Yes, I was very disappointed with our team." Shake my head. Yeah. Uh, I think. I mean, I think a lot of Vol fans are just, just angry, disappointed. Uh, yeah, just everything. Brad says Kevin's in the house, and then he said, "I got to go to that Titans game, and it was a good game, except for the rain shower we went when we went into overtime." Yeah, absolutely. Started to rain right at overtime when Falk kicked the field goal to win it. Um, but that's kind of that predictable September weather you get. Um, yeah, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, go ahead and like I said, Vol fans and Vol Society, go ahead and start leaving your score predictions in there. I'm going 38-24. Uh, Brad said my poor Panthers. Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, and right now, David Dees, he's an Atlanta Falcons fan, and he's sitting on top of the world at 2-0. Uh, and they had a big win against the Packers. Yeah. By the way, kind of a behind the scenes story. I'll go ahead and tell this. This is a little bit my fault. So, for those who don't know, we record the podcast on Monday nights, and Brad is a season ticket Panthers holder, and and I didn't hear from Brad. I knew Brad was still kind of upset and from the game on Saturday, so I didn't hear from him Monday. And I'm thinking, I guess we're not doing a podcast, and I knew the Panthers were playing Monday Night Football, so I'm just like sitting back, watching something on, watching the show on Peacock or whatever, just thinking, okay, we're not going to do a podcast, and I'll probably do it tomorrow night. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a call from Brad, like, "Where are you at? Where are you at? We got to record." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't, I didn't know." So yeah. Oh yeah, Brad says apologize for the poor mic quality on the podcast. Brad bought a new mic and forgot to adjust it. Yeah. Kevin says I don't know how to score predict now. I don't know either. I'm doing like math apparently, like second grade math. I'm gonna read Phil's question. He said, "Good evening, David. Running a little late today. I'm very upset about the game the other day, but I still bleed orange. Looking forward to the game Saturday. Hope better than last Saturday." Absolutely, Phil. I'm kind of in that same way with you. I'm just ready to get this Florida game out of the way, move on to UTSA, hopefully have a rebound performance on both sides of the ball. I'd love to get back to playing dominating football, but I want to see consistent football on Saturday. I will be at the game on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Actually, it's going to be kind of a busy weekend, too. I didn't even tell this to Brad. Um, Brad says 44-27 balls. I think that's what I said on the podcast. I think so, too. Um, well, it was kind of a gloomy recording when we were doing it. I even had some technical difficulty problems, kind of logging in late. But, anyways, but it's gonna be kind of a cool weekend for me, and I don't want to put myself out there, but I figured y'all might enjoy this. So, Friday night is homecoming at all of our high schools. We all went to Michigan County High School in Athens, so I got invited to participate in the Michigan County Alumni Band on Friday. I am a percussionist from a long time ago in the band, so I sent a request in or a signed up to participate in the alumni band. I didn't really hear from them, and then they finally sent me an email. So I will be back in the Michigan County Marching Band coming up this Friday for homecoming against Ottawa, and kind of some ball related stuff uh, that has Athens tie-ins to. Congratulations to Jawan Smith, who will be going into the Michigan County High School Hall of Fame. Played for the University of Tennessee in the mid 2000s. We all know Jawan very well, an alumni, and also Shajon Bradley, who played for the Tennessee football team in the 80s. Also played at Michigan County High School, is going to be the honorary team captain coming up on Friday. So kind of a little bit of a big deal here in Athens with homecoming coming up, and so pretty cool stuff. And then like I said, Saturday we'll be going up. I'll be going up to the UTSA game. So looking forward to this weekend. So maybe it'll use the mind off of the Florida game. So pretty cool stuff. Kevin says I listened to the podcast on my walk with my wife. Good as always, guys. Thank you, Kevin, for listening. I know, like I said, Brad didn't have the best mic quality on the podcast, but thank you, appreciate it. Hopefully, y'all enjoy it. Kinsley watching us tonight. He said, "Where is UTSA even at?" UTSA is in San Antonio, Texas. It is the University of Texas at San Antonio. They play at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Uh, I'm not sure exactly where their campus is located in San Antonio wise. I just know very little about it, but that's what UTSA is the University of Texas at San Antonio. So I know uh, at work they asking me who you playing. I've just been saying San Antonio and trying to kind of explain that. But hopefully that answers you. She said, "Thank you. You're welcome." Uh, Brad's saying the sound quality sucks. Sorry, bro. And he said it's all good. Cool. Yeah. Well, hopefully we get Brad's mic fixed for the next episode coming up as we'll preview South Carolina, which that's the game Brad will be going to. So, a lot of cool stuff. Go ahead and go back to the reactions here. Shout out to my mom leaving us a reaction. Uh, Richard, Kevin leaving us a like also on the Facebook page. I think I read Nick already. If I hadn't, shout out to Nick. Um, let's see. Let's see. Phil says, I'll be out of town next week. We're going to the Smoky Mountains, but we will listening to the game with some friends. Awesome. Enjoy your trip up to the Smoky Mountains there, Phil. Always a good time, especially kind of this year. Now the weather's getting a lot more comfortable outside. It's been, in the 50s in the morning. I've actually had to broke out the hoodie the last 2 days. I'm actually wearing this one right now, even though it's like 72 degrees in this house right now. But I wanted to show off our Vol Society merchandise, which you can pick it up. Click on the shop now icon on the Facebook page. But enjoy your trip up there in the Smoky Mountains, Phil. And Brad says, come hang out with me, Vol Society, when he's up there on the 30th against South Carolina. Going to be a big game. Big weekend also, too. Uh, you got I know that weekend of the South Carolina game, that Thursday night, you got Nickelback in town for a concert, and then Oliver Anthony, who's been kind of the big breakout music artist this year, is going to do a show at Smoky Stadium. Uh, Poor guy's had to change his venue several times due to the venues not obeying his wishes, Cotton Eye Joe. And then he had to move it to the convention center, and now he's moved it to Smoky Stadium on that Friday. So it's just bless his heart. And then you got the game on Saturday. Anyways, Kevin says, I want to hang out with you guys one of these days. I just don't have many friends, just Bama and Florida fans. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to get some new friends, Kevin. Oh, man. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, we got Bama and Florida fans where I work at too, but thankfully they kind of get trumped over by Tennessee fans. Um, Pretty cool. Excuse me. So, what do y'all think, Vol fans, about for Saturday and just kind of the future? I know we've read several comments and questions. Uh, like I said, this is your chance to be heard. My daughter, Sandy Ward. Hey, hello. She says, my daughter, Haley Ward, will be inducted Friday night at McMinn 2 in the Hall of Fame with Jawan. Congratulations to Haley, and congratulations to you, Sandy. Sure you're very proud of your daughter for her accomplishments. So that's really cool. Yeah, like I said, that's the thing I love about kind of Friday night football and just small communities like that. Uh, is just recognizing each other. So very cool. Um, Brad says, "Hey, I know your husband very well, Joe." So very cool. So like we got a Athens thing going on here. Um, Very cool. Any other questions or comments? Like I said, we got a good crowd tonight. I know we got a lot of like I said, a lot of emotions coming from Saturday. I think we got some optimism from our Vol fans just kind of chatting along, just ready to put this game behind us. I know we are, and ready to move on. And like I said, the games are going to get tougher as we dive deep into the season. Like I said, conference play underway, really in the SEC. Um, like I said, this is kind of Tennessee's final test before the big one's coming up. Um, and I know we got UConn like in November, but so Kevin says, I think we can get it fixed, but it has to be now, not later. Absolutely. You got to have these fixes right now, or you could be looking at 6-6, 7-5. Um, uh, Definitely. So Brad says, I'm concerned right now until they prove me wrong. Yeah, I can see that. Uh, Miss K says, do you know I'm probably your oldest person listening? And by the way, Brad probably even need a doesn't even need a mic. You're probably right. He is very noticeable when we do the podcast. Very much so. It's kind of like my old pastor, Pastor Bob. Um, he about didn't need a mic when he was pastor at my church. Pastor Scott's kind of loud, but he's not as bombastic as Bob is. So it just all depends. Uh, any other questions or comments? Also, if you want to be a part of the podcast while you're here, like I said, y'all bringing some good questions and comments. If you want to be a part of the podcast, uh, leave us a comment or leave us a question on our Facebook page. We read them each and every week in the mailbag. And there you see right there on the bottom of the screen there, new episodes dropping each and every week. Uh, yeah. Oh, Brad said, better watch it. Scott's a fan on here. Yeah, we love Pastor Scott. We love it. We're kidding around. Greg with his score prediction 41-14 balls. Going to see improvements this week. I like it, Scott. Or sorry, Scott. Greg, I'm calling you Pastor Scott now. I'm sorry. I like it, Greg. um, so that yeah, I think we could possibly see that, and if we get it, yeah, then I feel very confident the rest of the way. Case says Brad's just like his dad. Yeah, that's funny. Um, any other questions or comments while we're here? This is your chance to shine right here. We've gone about 45 minutes so far. We usually try to do this in an hour. Like I said, this is just a way to get our Vol Society fans to really to shine at this moment. Shout out to my Uncle Tim leaving us a like on the Facebook page. Brad says, all I know is that South Carolina is going to be crazy important now. Yeah, that is an important statement right there, Brad. Like I said, after you get rid of UTSA, like I said, that game's going to be big. And it's really a must-win for both teams. South Carolina, they stumbled out of the block against North Carolina. They've had a couple. Well, they had a cupcake win, and then they took Georgia to the limits in the first half, and then Georgia pulled ahead. And then I believe they played Mississippi State on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and then they play us, and you know, kind of it's a payback game for Tennessee after last year. But you don't really have the same players from that last year's team, so it's a big game. Miss K says, David, you're doing such a great job. Well, thank you. Brad says, huge game for the South Carolina game. Uh, Kevin's asking, hey, Brad, are you from Pulaski? Work for Pulaski Electric Systems on the right of way. Brad's from Charlotte, Kevin. Um, David Ease and I are we're located in East Tennessee in the Chattanooga area. Um, so kind of get a little bit of where we're at. So hopefully it helps it out there. Um, any other questions or comments? Score predictions, whatever you have on your mind. Any other people from Athens? Yeah, Kevin says, gotcha. Yeah. Uh, Greg says, looking at the schedule, we are more talented than South Carolina, Texas A&M, but we got to show up and play. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. You know, if everything's clicking, I really think we can win those games fairly easily, somewhat. I mean, you know, we got to contain Spencer Rattler in that South Carolina game. We can't play him conservative like we did last year. This is where I really want to see Tim Banks and that entire defense to really bring pressure to Spencer Rattler because I think he's very containable, especially playing on the road. Neyland's going to be loud and raucous. I mean, that South Carolina game sold out. The A&M game sold out. Saturday's game is still sold out, although maybe a few fans are trying to put their tickets back on secondary markets. But still, you're going to have a rock and rowdy crowd these next these next 3 home games really. And then Texas A&M, we already seen them struggle with Miami. They got a big game coming up Saturday against Auburn. That's a huge game for Jimbo Fisher to get off the hot seat. And, we kind of helped Billy Napier get off the hot seat Saturday. We can't do that for Jimbo. We got to keep that hot. We got to keep that seat ablazing for him. Bryce says, as of right now, we can't beat them, bro. Not with what I've seen. Again, they got to show me something going forward. Okay. So Brad's kind of disagreeing, but that's all right. And Greg says, and all the talk about Nico needing to be in there is crazy until we get this O-line issue fixed. That's another key thing. That's why I'm not put Nico in there right away. It's definitely that offensive line and getting Cooper Mays back in there and getting it situated. I like the guys we got. I like John Campbell. I like Joe Mincy. It's just, the penalties just hurt us. Cowboy says we need to cycle Nico in, and Brad agrees. Yeah, I agree. We I hate to be the type that says we need to just rotate quarterbacks every series, because you might disrupt the flow of the game, but you got to find a way to still get Nico in there, and you know, talking to a local area head coach, his opinion, not mine. He's like he kind of wishes that when Tennessee at least had a double digit score lead on Austin P instead of trying to blow them out and win by 50, if you will, to go ahead and just kind of put Nico in there as long as you're still up by double digits and get him some experience. So, you know, I don't know if Tennessee's going to go in that direction, but, you still need to find a way to cycle them in. But also, you got to get that offensive line situated. Kevin says, better get way ahead so he can get in there at least. Yeah, I do too. Phil says, what's the lowdown on Cooper Mays? Still kind of questionable. He's been practicing, and seems like he's about ready to go. But just some reason just not getting in the lineup. I think he's almost 100%. So, and it's hard, like I said, Josh Heupel's still kind of being cryptic. He's still saying, yeah, he's been practicing, he's been warming up. It's just we just had a coach's decision not to let him play. I don't know if he'll start against UTSA. To me, if he's good to go, I'd say let him play even against UTSA because you got to get this quick. You got to fix it quick. So, and Brad says Cooper May's situation is odd. We were told by Heupel he was ready for Florida and didn't play. Yeah, so it just seems like it's maybe a coaching decision. I guess I don't know. It's weird with it. Greg says, I agree we do, kind of like we did in times in the past. If Joe's struggling, sit him a series and work on things. I mean, that could be it. And Brad says couldn't play him because we struggled with the old line. A little Austin, couldn't play him because we struggled with little Austin P. Yeah, yeah. It's just a weird situation. And going back to Greg's point, it just seems like with Joe, you know, you kind of wonder about the seriousness of his mentality of, oh well, if I get benched, kind of so be it. But we'll see. Sandy says the Vault says that he had 3 hernia surgeries and says, 3 hernia surgeries and they have to be careful and probably be October. Ugh. Yeah, so that's tough right there if that's true there, Sandy. Thank you for bringing clarity to that. Yeah, we'll hopefully he'll can kind of get back. Uh, uh, Phil says, well, what Jerome Mincy gonna play any? I know Mincy's been at right tackle. I don't know what's going on with that too. It just seems like there's a lot of questions on the offensive line. Uh, you know, I mean, there's some guys that's kind of locked down, like a John Campbell and even Aldi Lane. Yeah, he's been at center, and yeah, he had a tough game against Florida, but I think they have the confidence in him to try to get him back at left guard when Cooper comes back. And then yeah, the right side's just kind of weird too. And I don't know what's going on with Mincy on that one. Kevin says, "Did you hear about Beasley in the press conference? He basically said the defense wasn't ready for this game." Um, and he's right. I, I mean, I totally agree. Okay, Greg says Mincy's in the doghouse for personal reasons. Yeah, that's terrible, man. Hopefully he can get that situated out. I think he's a good kid from what I've read. It's just seems like we always run into those players too. Unfortunately, just can't get out of trouble. Like I said, you're dealing with 18 to 23-year-old kids. Let's see. Going back to Kevin's point, yeah, I think Beasley's a great leader on that defense, and defense wasn't ready for the game. But this is also where Beasley kind of needs to rally his guys and be like, "Hey, let's go. We can't be doing this silly stuff too." So, Greg also said, "I honestly believe if we would had Joe run early, it would help him get focused. Possibly, possibly." Um, and Tennessee looked great on that opening drive. They went down and scored. Florida missed that field goal, went down and scored, and then it's just came unraveled after that, especially in the second quarter. And Florida went down and scored 4 times. Yeah. Anyways, Brad says top 3 issues we have right now. Let's hear your thoughts. Um, my number one, leadership. Just that's a big one right there. Number 2, offensive line play. Number 3, poor tackling in the secondary. That's my top 3 right there. I mean, I could probably come up with several more. I mean, you can probably say coaching a little bit, but I'm not going to be one of these people that says get rid of everybody because I think that's silly. That's an easy cop out, and you just got a lot of fans that just says stupid stuff like that. But anyways, Cowboy says defense did great. We just struggle with the turnover. Joe got spooked. Yeah, that's it. I I mean the defense did great at times. That secondary and just the arm tackling is just what hurt us. Um, and I guess we'll go ahead and mention, as we hadn't talked about this tonight. The end of the game with the scuffle with Florida. Well, let me read Kevin's comment really quick. Offensive line hitting receivers more, and defensive line the whole game. Got to make tackles, wrap them up, not just shoulder hits. Yeah, absolutely. And Brad says Haddon's a beast at arm tackling. Yeah, he would be great at flag football. Bless his heart. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of that. He's the only guy that's got an interception on the team right now after 3 weeks. But anyways, yeah, we'll talk about the end of the game with the whole timeout situation. Josh Heupel calling the timeout late, and then it was like 4th down, and you had Graham Mertz running around, and then Omar Norman Lott just cold clocked him, knocked him down, and that brought the big brawl out, and just a ugly situation. So Omar Norman Lott is going to miss the first half of the UTSA game. He's the only Tennessee player suspended from the scuffle. Florida is going to be without 3 guys on Saturday, a couple offensive linemen, and I forgot the other guy who was out, but they're playing Charlotte on Friday, so it's not really or Friday. They're playing Charlotte on Saturday, so it's not really a huge loss for them in that game. So I think it's just a lot of frustration, just boiling over, and intense rivalry. And Tennessee just got embarrassed. For me, I probably wouldn't have called that timeout in that situation. I'd just be like, let's just get out of here and just focus on the next game. But it's just me. Cowboy says petty. Yeah, it was just. I mean, yeah, you can say Florida showboating around all of that, and just I don't know. It was just a bad look, really, for both teams, especially at the end of the game. And and then you kind of saw what happened with Colorado, and Colorado State followed our game. It was made our scuffle look like a pillow fight. Whew, man. Brad says, all I know, we are better than Florida, and they beat us. Such a disappointing game. I got to let it go, but dang, that was tough to watch. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to watch. It was tough to go to bed Saturday night, just absorbing all of that. That's probably why I'm glad we don't do post game wrap up shows, because I don't know if all three of us uh, would be the respectable Christian men that we're supposed to be called upon in those situations. So, uh, but yeah, like I said, I think we're just going to have to, like I said, that game's in the past. Now we got to focus and really get going. Brad said it wouldn't been pretty. No, no. Even Brad texted me Sunday. I mean, I know he was still fired up from it, and you kind of heard it on the podcast, even with uh, the 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 bad mic. It was just it was just there. It was like I said, it was a tough recording, but we managed out of it. Kevin says, "Yeah, no sleep because it bothered me that bad." Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really sleep either. I tried to I was trying to sleep, and like I did doze off, and then I woke up like at 2 in the morning, and then I caught the end of the Colorado State game. Oh, my mom joined in, and she said, "You said it reminded you of South Carolina last year." Yeah, absolutely. Um, it was very reminiscent of the South Carolina game. As I mean, now it wasn't a big time blowout game like South Carolina, but still, just the impact of the loss just really uh just really been just stings. I mean, that South Carolina game knocked us out of the playoffs last year, and this one you're already behind the eight ball, and you were supposed to get them. Brad says, I've been in bed since Saturday night and haven't got it up. Kay says, where did these refs get their training? Probably the TSSAA. Just kidding. There's some good TSSAA referees, but there's some that's interesting. Cowboy says, need to focus for sure. We got Bama and Georgia coming up. Let Florida be a learning experience, teachable moment. Yeah. Uh, I really hope so. And like I said, I hope Josh Heupel is being sincere in this press conference. Said, this sting the team, it stinged him. I mean, even in the press conference, Heupel's not a cut up guy or jolly or whatever, but you can definitely tell. It's almost like he didn't want to do that press conference, but obviously he has to. This is part of what he's supposed to do, talk to the media. But you can definitely tell it's still bothering him Monday afternoon. But I want to see a fire in this team on Saturday. Like I said, you got a team that you're a 20-point favorite against. Although it's going to be a tough game, I want to see Tennessee just play consistent, play mistake-free football, do the simple things right. Um, it's going to be a big test coming up on Saturday, and like I said, hopefully get a turnaround and get quick fixes. And Brad says, I'm telling you, this game that is going to matter is that South Carolina game. Huge game. That tells us we're going to be the rest of the season. Yeah. Um, Definitely a big one right there. I mean, you're going to have a big time crowd there. You're going to have the home field advantage. You're going to hear that week of the game, the revenge game. Tennessee's going to go in there and revenge and win by 50 or whatever. I just don't see it. I think it's going to be a must-win game for both teams. We'll see how South Carolina does Saturday. I think against Mississippi State, I believe it's who they're playing. But that's a must-win game for not only for Josh Heupel, but even for Shane Beamer also. But definitely, I think Tennessee definitely needs this a little bit. Well, not a little bit more. I think they need a whole lot more because, man, if you lose 2 years in a row to South Carolina, I mean, that's where you're going to be hearing a lot of negativity and kind of the batter ball syndrome come into play. Brad says, did I ever tell you Shane Beamer is a clown? Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, it's gonna be a wild game. But like I said, we got UTSA coming up on Saturday at 4 o'clock. SEC Network, Dave Neal, Derek Mason, Taylor Davis will be on the call on Saturday. I'll be there with Ball Society. It's gonna be I am looking forward to this game. I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna be. It's gonna be nervous energy in there, but like I said, hopefully Tennessee can come out strong and definitely come out strong out of the beginning. I'm not saying let D. Williams take it in from 95 yards out and score a touchdown, although that would be nice. But I think just going down there, get a nice opening drive for a touchdown, or if the defense starts, get a quick 3 and out, get some momentum, get these guys fired up to play, and let's take care of UTSA. Yeah, Brett said. Oh, Greg says, guys, we can deny the fact that we've got some questionable officiating on the second half drives. One in general was the lineman tripping over the ball and Florida substituting. Yep, we should have been flagged. All kinds of holding on wide receivers. Yeah, we've really ran into that the last couple of weeks with the holding on the wide receivers. Oh, nice. So yeah, just yeah, the officiating has been questionable, but also we can't be keep pointing at that every week too. Brass's coverage on here, David. Yeah, I'm gonna try. I try to I don't know. Facebook kind of changed the way we do try to upload stories. I'm not the most technological person ever, so I got to figure out that how to do the stories. But I'm gonna try to do that. I couldn't really do it that Austin P game because I don't know where Facebook hit it. So like the ball walk and stuff, but I did got a couple of stadium shots, so I'll try to do a little bit better on that one. Brad says legendary voice of MacMan joining us. What's up, Jared? Jared Wright. Kevin says, oh, talking to Greg on that. Let's see here. Did Jared leave us a like? Can't tell. Cowboy says, what's up, McMinn Athens boy here? Oh, cool. Very cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, we're all McMinn graduates and from Athens in general. Uh, very cool. Small world out there, if you will. Anyways, we have gone 1 hour, guys. We'll give a clap. We went over 1 hour tonight. Still going pretty strong right here. Doing a great job. Like I said, if you want to keep talking here, comments, questions, as far as like our score predictions, any other things to talk about here. Greg says, I'm telling you, Wright Brew and Squirrel White wanted this game, and Thornton Jr. definitely showed up. Yeah, I definitely so, Greg. I want to see all those guys show up too. Jared saying, got a McMinn, a UT alum going into the Hall of Fame in McMinn this weekend. Juwan Smith. Yeah, I just mentioned that, Jared. Yeah, congratulations to Juwan Smith, former Tennessee VFL basketball player. Went to McMinn County High School, going into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Shajon Bradley, Tennessee linebacker from the 80s. I think a lot of all fans know who he is. Going to be the honorary team captain for the homecoming game Friday as McMinn plays Ottawa. Yeah, but really cool. Really cool weekend in Friday night in Athens, and then I'm going to be in the alumni band. I still got to figure out if I can still play a drum or here or there, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Shout out to Jordan Curtis and the band teachers out there at McMinn, uh, uh, putting that on for some of the alumni. So thank you guys for that. Jerison, my bad, joined too late. That's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, hopefully, maybe get some coverage on that. And Miss K says, is it MacMin or McMin? Depends on what side of the creek you were born on. If you're out in the county, it'd be MacMin. If you grew up in the city, it'd be McMin. So, I don't know what Central calls it. Yeah. Etowah and Inglewood is like a whole different world out there. But we don't care about them Chargers. Greg says our tight ends could be a huge difference moving forward. Yeah. I really, like I said, I really want to see Jacob Warren step up. I think he's got the talent to do something. He got a touchdown against Brett Central still a school barely. Uh, uh, yeah, I think it seems like he hasn't been called a lot of penalties, but I got the touchdown against Virginia. I really like McAllen Castles. He had that long touchdown against Austin P. Seems like he's fitting somewhat well in that offense, and it's just, what's the potential going to be? Even with Ethan Davis, Miss K says be nice. Uh, with Ethan Davis, we'll see what goes on with him. Okiki, which I think he's probably just going to redshirt this year, but um, I really like our tight end room. I really like all the guys on the team. It's just I want to see some leadership step up. I want to see that winning mentality, even when you're down, not giving up. I think we were spoiled last year with a lot of guys who, even if you remember the Florida game from 2022, uh, man, it's just Cowboy says, "Is Riceville still a school? I'm living in Oklahoma now." Yeah, they're still out there. uh, it's still round and all that. Yeah, Brad said very spoiled. We were very spoiled last year with some great leaders with Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Darnell Wright, Byron Young. And, even in that Florida game, it was a back and forth game, kind of an ugly game, but Tennessee still found a way to win it. The Alabama game, a big example there. I mean, when Dallas Turner picked up that fumble in the Alabama game and ran it in for the touchdown, I mean, Tennessee could have just folded up and be like, oh, well, we tried. We'll try again next year. But they hung in there. You know, even the Kool-Aid McKinstry interception, which ended up becoming a pass interference penalty. It's just moments like that you could have said, yeah, it's over. Game's over. Let's go on to the next one. But, they found a way to hung in there and end up winning. I mean, the two biggest wins, in program history last year, and you just had great leaders. Miss K says, anyone remember Principal Grubb? Nice person. Yeah, we just lost Principal Grubb not too long ago. I guess in the last year, but great principal, great teachers out at McMinn and administrators out there. I don't know a lot of the current staff out there at McMinn, but definitely when we were out there, we had some good people. Um, but I guess we'll go ahead and kind of start wrapping up. If anybody else has any comments or questions, this has been a great show. We went right now 1 hour and 8 minutes previewing UTSA. Of course, I think we kind of let all the air out. We let our emotions out. We talked about the Florida game, and now we're just going to palate cleanse that game, and we'll focus on UTSA and hit the stretch. But like I said, we got to make some quick fixes right here and there. Brad says go Vols, and we better show something this week. Absolutely. And like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. By the way, visit the Vol Society store, get you a hoodie. Vol Society store. Not just a game, this is life. Made famous by our founder. Cowboy says, love y'all. God bless and go Vols. Absolutely. Thank you, Cowboy, for tuning in from Oklahoma. We had somebody tune in from Western Oregon. So, I mean, really cool. And a lot of Athens people. Like I said, upcoming schedule for this week, Tailgate Thursday is I already recorded it. That will be uploaded on our Facebook page, our social media pages Thursday at noon. A 10-minute video of the upcoming games, not necessarily just Tennessee, but all the rest of college football. A lot of great games coming up this week. So Tailgate Thursday, noon, while you're on lunch, watch me. It's a quick, 10-minute drive-through Vol Society live video, although pre-recorded. And then, like I said, we'll bring some good content coming up on Saturday. Like I said, shop now on the Facebook page. We have a shop now button on the Facebook page where you can go to the shop, get you a hoodie, get you a water bottle, get you a hat, although the hat's going to be a little different. I'll just go ahead and say that. Then we got T-shirts. We got backpacks, duffel bags, cell phone cases, a lot of cool stuff. Jared's saying go Vols, and look forward to seeing Jared on Friday night. And like I said, and I will be up there Saturday. I'll try to find a way to get more coverage. Brad's telling me, show the bottle. There it is, Vol Society. Bottle, you put your favorite drink in there. It's from Camelback. Really good water bottle. Ooh, really cool. Really cool. So Kevin says, love some hats. Yeah, we got some good hats on there. But I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in to Vol Society Live. Please take care of each other. Be kind to each other. Be friendly to each other. Like I said, spread love, not hate, if you will. But anyways, and like I said, go Vols. We'll. Bryce says now we got a nice trucker hat on there. Okay, cool. Like I said, we'll talk to y'all next Tuesday night for Vol Society Live. Make sure you're following the social media pages. We're uploading content, and like I said, I will see you Thursday for Tailgate Thursday at noon. And then hopefully I'll run into some of y'all Saturday for the Tennessee game. And who knows, maybe if you come to Athens on Friday, you can see me try to bang a bass drum for the first time in 20 years. Should be a lot of fun. Anyways, my name is David Morrison from the Vol Society. Thank you very much to everybody tuning in. We'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great night.